Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Mama Genius Hub podcast. I am so excited for our guest today, Denise. She is going to tell us how to release all the trauma, everything inside of us so that we can empower ourselves as moms to create those businesses that we want. I can't wait to bring her on. So let's go ahead and get started today. Welcome to Mama Genius Hub podcast, where we support moms with big dreams, from entrepreneurship to personal aspirations. I'm your host, Michelle Kaiser, and I'm here to help you unlock your potential in all areas of life. Join us as we explore strategies for thriving in motherhood while pursuing the dreams, the key to actually unlocking your genius. Subscribe now and embark on a journey to realize your fullest potential. So again, we have Denise Lee here, who is healing and leadership coach, who helps entrepreneurs break through their emotional blocks and limiting patterns that lead to their businesses and lives more effectively. Don't we all want that, to really live in our genius? As a survivor of incest and rape, she brings a unique perspective to overcoming trauma and finding the strength to heal. And I know a lot of us need that. And depending on whatever our trauma is, we need that strength to heal. Denise focuses on helping women, especially busy moms, navigate personal challenges and heal from their past and grow into leadership in both personal and professional lives. Her mission is to help women heal, grow, and lead with confidence and clarity. Welcome to the stage, Denise. We're so excited to have you today.
Yay! Let's get this done. Yes. I love the energy. And I'm just so grateful for this experience connecting with you and all the other busy moms that are listening. I know you guys are like multi-planning, triple planning, but you chose to be here, and that's awesome.
You know me, for those of you that are listening, I just dive right in. And Denise, we want to know what made you want to, I mean, I can kind of test from your bio a little bit, of course, that you had the trauma in there and you want to release it, but what made you want to help other women do this as well?
I usually ask myself that, like every day I pinch myself. I'm like, you want to talk about painful things in a fun way that helps people heal? I'm like, why would you do that?
Right?
Like,
why?
Like, you could be like an accountant or a lawyer, you could be a paper pusher, but you're deciding to talk about sexual trauma and then business development, sexual trauma, then leadership skills. And I do that really, Michelle, because I know that as much as we try to have this masquerade of we're all living like squeaky clean Sesame Street type lives, we're living R and MA experiences. Mm-hmm. And so we need to be able to like relate to people in a way that's understood that I'm not perfect. I went through junk, but I also know there's more ahead of me than behind me. So let's figure out how to get it done. And that's really what inspires me, because I never really saw that modeled, Michelle. I always saw people like, let's talk about our smart list, and then they would always talk about this generic cookie cutter stuff, but I never saw anyone come up on the stage and say, hey, let's talk about your insecurity about you feeling want to be perfect all the time. I never saw anyone in your face talking about it, and I needed that. And if I know I needed that, I know there's a lot of ladies here that also need that real talk.
I love that so much, and I think that's what this is all about, is the feminine way coming out and doing things differently. Because I mean, I felt like so much for so long we're doing the masculine way, but like you said, what's your SMART goal? What's this? And let's do it this way. But you can't have a goal if you're not feeling it here to like put yourself forward. If the insecurities are there, if you're in imposter syndrome and all these feelings are inside of you, how do you push forward? And that's what I love about what you're doing and what we do as women is we need to come together in community, because that's how we push ourselves forward differently than the masculine. What do you think?
It's so funny. I remember when I first got into like the women's business networking on, they call it Meta, but it was Facebook at the time. Still is probably Facebook. Everybody calls it. And everybody talked about the feminine and masculine energy and giving, right? Versus receiving. And I'm a nerd. I did a lot of like real homework about this. And the psychologist Carl Jung specifically actually talks about the anima, female, animus energy, masculine and feminine. And he just talked about the energy. And there's a lot of misconceptions about when we talk about masculine. Masculine is caretaking. Masculine is shepherding. And we think of that as mothers, like I'm like, that's motherhood. It's like a feminine, like, no, that's a masculine energy.
Yes.
The receiving energy, the anima energy, is the one that goes with the flow, that's whimsical, that's creative, that's free. I mean, we need a little bit of both, right? It's kind of think about like water in a cup, right? My water inside is all my feminine, free-flowing energy, but I have to have structure so it doesn't fall and spill and make a mess everywhere. I think there's a time and place for both. We all can't eat, breathe, and go to Bali and take a trip and just every time we feel stressed. Nor can we sit and just do lists all single time and micromanage and then wonder why we're burnt out. There comes a time where we need to ebb and flow, and understanding the seasonality of our energy and respecting that.
I love that so much. And exactly, because for so long, I feel like we were just like, we have to do it this one way. And I felt like we were like missing the feminine part of it. And I love how you're like talking about ebb and flow, because rhythm, I really feel like you want to get away from the word balance, like motherhood, you got to balance everything. I just feel like there's this like equal pressure, like you got to find this like, and it's like stressful, but no, it's like you're saying the ebb and flow in some sort of container and find that rhythm, but the rhythm that works for you and your family, not society. And I think when we put those two together and we find that flow of, yes, we do need goals, but yes, we need to find a way that it meshes through our day in a way that flows for our family. And when we put those two together is when we find that rhythm that works for us.
You know, when I hear people say family, right? Everybody thinks family is like myself, my kids, my partner, whoever that is, right? But family, we all know it's not just our parents, right? Or our relatives. It could be our close associates. It could be the people that have walked alongside with us in our personal development journey. So when we think about connections and community, I don't want us to simply think that we have to have our world enclosed as the people that we gave birth to, or set to death do you part.
That's so true. And so like when we think about, I love how I like how I'm putting that down as a redefinition of family, of like, what is your family for you? Like, what is your community? Who are the people that are involved in that, for you to really focus on that and think about that, of who is in that flow of your day and who do you want to put the time and energy into? Because I think that's part of it as well, is like relationships take time and energy, and who do you want to be part of that circle, of your inner circle? But to really make sure that when you decide that you're putting that time and energy into those people.
There was a recent study that came out earlier this year that said it took a minimum of 200 hours to form and maintain a relationship. And social media, our modern culture, thinks we can fast track it with status updates.
That may or may not be seen, and you think other people seen them, and nobody's seen your status update.
Yeah. And think about it, Michelle, like we're going on a destination summer, right? There's some people that you're going to be meeting as you pass by for the corridors. There's some people who are going to be with you a few hours on the plane ride. There's other people who might be with you as you go and check in. The duration will change as you travel. And for a lot of us, we think we need to have ride or die relationships that will go from here to the end of the world. And that's not how travel works. You drop off, you pick stuff up, you learn and lean into the chaos and the confusion and the uncertainties, and you ebb and flow. And that's how you can use your feminine energy as you navigate. I'm not talking about travel. I'm talking about your life. I'm talking about your business. Can you allow yourself to put some baggage down so that you can be feeling lighter and travel wherever you need to go next?
I love that so much. We'll be right back to dive deep more into that.
Attention mompreneurs. Do you feel like you're constantly juggling the responsibilities without a moment to yourself? It's time to pause and reflect with our Mama Genius quiz. Tailored for busy mamas like you, this quiz will help you identify what's blocking your path and inspire you to harness your unique strengths. transform how you manage life and business, find your rhythm, and ignite your joy. Visit mamageniushub.com today to discover your Mama Genius. And that's mamageniushub.com.
And we're back. So I really want to dive into what you were just talking about, because I love the idea of the travel, and how do we release some of that baggage? Because you are the queen of releasing some of that trauma and telling us, I mean, maybe a little bit about your past experience and your journey, but I want to give some ideas of how do we start to release some of that baggage?
I was talking with a sexual assault survivor a few days ago, and she was telling me that she was raped by a date when she was in college. It was so common and with sexual assault survivors that the person that assaulted them, someone that they know. And as a result of the sexual assault, she labeled herself as dirty, unlovable, unworthy. And she lived out that definition that she put onto herself. She became promiscuous, alcoholic, all this stuff. And I said, honey, I know what you're talking about. It's not so much the trauma that hurts, which is bad enough. It's the lies that we adopt of ourselves and our perspective of the world around us as a result of it. So if we're going to heal, if we're going to understand who we really are, we need to confront the lies that we tell ourselves.
I feel like that I just need to pause, and I want to just reiterate that we need to confront those lies, those stories that we are telling ourselves. And I think we should just sit with that for a minute, because that's such a powerful statement, and the fact that it's so true. Like, we have the shoulds and the thinks and what we should do, but really it's about what is the story you are telling yourself about what happened.
There's very commonalities with a lot of trauma, sexual survivors, women who have experienced horrific things, is that they wish they can control things. They go through the coulda, shoulda, wouldas. They believe narratives of scenarios in which they could overcome it. But unfortunately, if there is not a reconciliation between what was truth of what could have happened or versus what did happen, we result into this magical thinking that gets us divorced, not just from the people around us, but our feelings. And that's why women who have gone through such hard things, they turn into control freaks with their kids. They go into jobs in over their heads. I was thinking about one particular client when she left her job, corporate America. It took 3 people to fill her one position. She was a workhorse. Women who have experienced, so there is a beautiful book that is written by not Carl Jung, but his wife. Literally, the book is called Anima Animas. Emma Young, I believe her name is. And it's really outdated. There's John Stanford's Me, You, I forgot his specific title. But anyway, what happens with a lot of women, we have the outward soul of like a feminine body, but inside of us is an animus, it's a strong masculine side. And that's why we've got our bodies, our skeletal frames are more delicate than the man. So we need hard, tough as steel inside, right? And so when a woman is traumatized, her animus, her masculine energy just goes into overdrive to control, commandeer anything and anyone that she sees as a threat. And so part of the healing journey is like, yes, you still have that energy in you, that strong, powerful masculine energy, but it's an overdrive because of the wounding.
Wow, I never even really thought about that. Makes so much sense in terms of what happens to your body, because you lost control for a second, something traumatic happened to you, and then you want to make sure that never happens again. And then that masculine just goes into overdrive to make sure to protect yourself.
Yeah.
So what do we do to help release some of that, or what are some of the steps that people can take?
Ooh.
I'm gonna put you on
I don't know. I had to take a breath here, because for me, my journey was an evolution of understanding what works for me. And so as everyone who's listening to this, connecting with this conversation, I don't want anyone to think like what Denise specifically says is going to be your path to success. I just really want to make sure that I put that disclaimer out there so everybody knows.
Well, I want to reiterate that too, in terms of anything that you're listening to, anything, no matter what it is, always check back with your heart, with your own intuition, and say, does my gut feel like this information will help me propel forward this knowledge, this step? Because there's so many paths for everyone, and there's different ways to get there. But your job right now as a listener is to ask myself, does this sound right for me right now where I'm at? And that, I always want to preface that. So I want to be, and actually we'll take a quick break, and then I'll give you a chance to reiterate that and give you a moment to think while we go into talking about the hub, where you guys can all join us as well.
Do you ever feel like your own dreams are fading on you as you focus and keep everything together for your family, or been buried under laundry and school runs and endless to-do lists? They're so deep, you don't even know what they are anymore. The Mama Genius Hub is here to help you uncover that part of you again. Maybe you felt that pull to start a passion project, return to a hobby you once loved, or pursue a career that lights you up, but you're so caught in everyone else's needs that you keep slipping through the cracks. In just 15 minutes a day, our mini courses will help you reconnect with those dreams while finding a new rhythm in motherhood's beautiful, messy life. And best of all, you'll be doing it with a community of moms who truly understand the juggle and the joy. The Mama Genius Hub is a community who've been there and are here to support and inspire each other every step of the way. It's time to rediscover your spark, live in your genius, and inspire your kids by showing them how to follow their own passions. Join the Mama Genius Hub today and start creating space for you again without guilt or doing it solo. Come to www.connectingmamas.com for more details.
And we're back to give you a little bit of time to process that a little bit, but really I want to dive into really thinking about what is the next step. And again, those of you listening, think about what might be, and again, it's about putting that question out for yourself. If you're relating to this podcast, just put that question down. What is my next step? And start to just activate the RAS, which is your reticular activating system, and just keep note of what that. So we're going to let Denise share her story, but then see if any of that feels like it relates to you. Again, we're trying to get back into our bodies, reclaim the feminine, and to help with the ebb and flow as we're in that container. So I'll leave it to you, Denise.
Thank you. I mean, my journey is really unique in the sense of I was hurled into therapy as the result of the police finding that my mother was raping me. They had to drag me from one day, it was Friday, and the police came in and said, "You're not coming back home." And I said, "Well, what's going on?" And, it was because of, they found out. And through that, I had to go through therapy. And then I just had a really hard time connecting with people. And in the home of one of the foster homes I was in, I had a knife and I was trying to slit my wrist right there. And I was taken to a psychiatric hospital. But through that, I was in and out of therapists from ages 11. I mean, I didn't really through 25, but even through then, I didn't really get healing. I just had some type of emotional suppression going on. Mm-hmm. And so I want people to understand, who's listening, like, you can go through therapy for years and never go through healing. I mean, even through that, all those years, I was full-fledged in alcoholism. I was raped multiple times from some of the people that I was engaged with. I got into many, many serious, dangerous situations, and I was still in quote unquote therapy, right? So I think I really, really want to emphasize for some of you guys who are listening and you're really struggling with just your every day-to-day ability to connect with yourself and others, I would seriously recommend inpatient therapy for a minimum of 30 days. And a lot of you guys say, well, I have a career, I have my kids, I have my family. Like, you're not even there, sweetheart. You're a shell of a body that's with a mouthpiece, and you're not there. And so if that's not an option, if inpatient therapy is not an option, I want to give some other options for you. My journey involved learning myself initially through 12-step recovery, was in Alcoholics Anonymous, also Sexaholics Anonymous. But the healing really came, honestly, Michelle, through psychosomatic healing. And so let me explain what I mean by that. Psycho, like the mind, right? Somatic is the body. And I didn't know, unbeknownst to me, I was getting massages during that time. And I just thought I was just doing it because I was told like I had really tight, tense shoulders, right?
Right.
But what had happened was I was also during that time, unbeknownst to me, releasing cortisol, stress hormones. I want to show a photo to everybody who's listening. This is a photo of my driver's license when I was living back in Maryland. And I want you to look carefully at my shoulders. I have one shoulder that's literally lifted higher than the other.
Yeah, I see
I
it.
don't know if you can see that. So my body was in complete, utter chaos and shock. And the massages was helping to release all the stress, all the cortisol, all the norepinephrine, all the hormones that were associated with the trauma that was literally stored in my body. There's some excellent books that talk about how stored trauma goes into the body. Is The Body Keeps Score by Dr. Bessel van der Kolk, and When the
Very
Body
good.
Says No by Dr. Gabor Mate. You can look that up if you're in. And also there's lots of books by Dr. Peter Levine. I'm not here to just dump books on you, but I'm just here to explain the evidence that goes behind massage, yoga, aquatherapy. There are so many explanations that before your mind can process what happened, the messages that you came to believe of yourself, you have to release the physical effects that happened on your body. So that's step number one. Release the physical trauma through massage, exercise, so many different ways to move your body, dance. Okay. It's not just limited to one particular thing, but some of the slow and rhythmical motions can really ease the body. And then once you're done that, I'd say a minimum before you don't even bother walking into like a therapist's office, because you're wasting your money. I assure you, you're wasting your money. After you do that, there's a lot of wonderful other alternative techniques. I'm giving it crescendo here, Michelle, so people understand. Like,
Right.
this is like the base, and then as you start, getting a little bit more confident in yourself and being more comfortable, this is the next step. So after you do the somatic type work, then I would highly recommend EMDR, eye movement reprocessing, deprocessing and desensitization. I'm really garbling that, so forgive me, guys, as I'm saying that. It was developed in the 80s by Francine Shapiro. You can read the book, Getting Past Your Past, is the book that's based on EMDR. And what it is basically an etch-a-sketch to your brain, where you're seeing images that kind of connect to your past traumatic experience, and you're just saying maybe a word or two, and it just literally, it's kind of like when you go to sleep, and it kind of, you're going to a REM state of mind, where you're slowly get more desensitized to that. And I highly recommend that. There's also TMS, transcranial magnetic stimulation, where they put little rods on your head. You don't feel any pain. It's not a lobotomy. I trust you. Trust me, it's not a lobotomy. And it helps you, again, you're not talking at all. And it helps you desensitize from the trauma. That's another one.
I love your explanation of EMDR, because I mean, I've had EMDR, but the way you've explained it is just like, it's a really good explanation of it in terms of like, it really just helps release and kind of like, as we were talking about, is the stories we tell ourselves. It helps rewrite those stories that are already ingrained in our brain.
Check with your insurance provider. Some of them will take it, some don't. Both TMS and EMDR, but thank you, Michelle, about that. I really try to explain everything in very simple, easy to digest ways, because we're talking about hard stuff, but
Right.
We can maybe break it down into simple, less clinical ways. So we talked about EMDR, we talked about TMS. After this, we did the base yoga, massage, stuff like that. So then the next step, if you have felt comfortable, right? Your body is comfortable. We actually calm your vagus nerve. Vagus is in control of your sympathetic nervous response system. That tells your amygdala, the little pea-sized part in the limbic system of your brain, that says, we don't need to run and hide or scream or yell and control and act less than ourselves, right? So when we did that, then you're ready to move into cognitive behavioral therapy, okay? Cognitive behavioral therapy is kind of like what I alluded earlier, where we're actually examining the thoughts that make us feel that we need to control, manipulate, avoid, procrastinate, get into our energetic states that's misaligned with how our body is designed to function. Like we have, look, I know it's 2024. I know we're liberated. I know we're on the cusp of potentially having a female president of the United States. Like there's a lot of stuff going on, but we cannot ignore biology. And biology says that our physical bodies can handle but so much stress. Men too, for sure. But our bodies are more susceptible to having our bodies inflamed, mutating cells, and causing cancer. 1/5 of, and please, you guys can fact check me later, all right? But if I've known most trauma survivors have a higher chance. I was going to say a quote, I just didn't want to say it because I can't verify it right now. But most trauma survivors have a chance of cancer, okay, than ordinary people, because the stored trauma causes so many problems to the inflammation part of our body, or rheumatological issues. Anyway, the point I'm saying about all of this is that we need to be mindful of the words that we say to ourselves. The words that we're saying to ourselves can literally hypnotize our body into stress. So cognitive behavioral therapy is only for those who are able to actually calm ourselves down and to be receptive to challenging things that could propel us to revisit disturbing, uncomfortable memories, right?
Right.
A good therapist, I know there's so many crappy therapists. Lord have mercy. So many crappy therapists.
Yes.
Yes.
But
There are good ones. I'm not discounting the community, okay? Not discounting doctors, none of that. But a great therapist will be able to actually understand and recognize when your body is going to full tilt sympathetic response. It's when you feel cornered and say a little snappy, sarcastic thing. It's when your eyes start. It's when your body slumps. And to be able to revisit you back into the present and help guide you back into the conversation of exploring the things that make you upset, because our minds want to retreat back into where we once were. But a good therapist can recognize that and guide you. Remember, I was talking to you about that plane ride, right? They can be able to safely escort you to your next destination, right?
I love that.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, we're running out of time, so I kind of want to let you finish, wrap it up, though, but then I want to jump into our final question.
Yeah, so our last destination is talking with someone like me, who can actually give you actionable goals based on what you need to do after you've dealt with the traumatic issues. That's it.
Perfect timing, I think. So our final question for you today is, I think it goes kind of into what we've been talking about. What is a common misconception about motherhood do you think holds back many moms from truly stepping into their genius?
Repeating the same tired messages that didn't work for your mama.
Oh, tell it straight. So what can we do to shift that mindset?
Challenge the conversations that your mama told you. It literally goes back to that.
I love that.
The whys, the hows. How did that make sense?
I love that so much, because exactly what this is about is let's stop being that martyrdom and stop repeating the fact that as moms, we need to stop our own desires, our own goals. That's what this is all about, is how do we put that all together? And so I love that so much, Denise. Tell everyone how they can get a hold of you. And I know you have a free gift for them as well.
Yeah. I'm so glad that you asked that. So the best place to find me is on my website, deniseglee.com. Literally, it's found in the bio, and you see right there. There you'll be able to read one of many, many, many articles I wrote about sexual trauma, abuse, all that fun stuff. And then also my free gift is the foundation of all of the work that I do is built on a simple idea called your life script. All of us, for better or for worse, have messages that have told us who we are and how we're supposed to interact. And sometimes those messages aren't really helpful. So it's a free 15-minute quiz. Sit down, get your beverage of choice, and just start clicking. And you just have to hit video buttons and then learn your life script.
I love it. I'm going to put you backstage for a minute and give our takeaways from today, because we have a lot of them. My notes are, I don't know if everyone knows, but I do write notes furiously. So if you see me looking down during podcasts, it's because I'm writing notes. So here we go. So thank you, first of all, Denise, so much for coming on today. And she's behind stage, can hear me, everything I'm saying. But we really want to go through these steps that she laid out for us, because when we have that inside of us, and again, listen to your own intuition, your own gut to what is going to work for you right now. So let's go through these first steps. Our first takeaway is the idea of the energy that we were talking about, the masculine and the flow and the receiving. It's not that masculine energy or feminine energy, there's not good or bad. It's how do we make them work together, and the ebb and flow that she was talking about as well. And then we go into number 2 takeaway is the redefinition of the word family. And so for you to think about, what is your definition? What does it mean for you? Who are your connections? Who is your community? And remember, it takes 200 hours to make that, to form that relationship. So who do you want to invest in that time? But then that also leads us into takeaway number 3, which is that idea of travel and that journey that we are on, and that it isn't a destination all the time. And we don't necessarily have to have people in our lives the entire time. So it's who are you putting that time and effort into? And think about also that a lot of people who have had that trauma in their journey, you might have that idea of controlling coming through. And so if that feels like you, maybe it's something that you want to address. That leads us into takeaway number 4 is healing versus emotional suppression. As Denise was telling us about her therapy journey, a lot of it was more emotional suppression rather than healing. And so what are some of the steps towards that? Is that she talked about the inpatient therapy, if you have that chance to do that, to actually go through psychosomatic healing and to release all the physical first. Then step 2 would be the EMDR, TMRS, calming that vagus nerve, before going into step number 3, which would be the cognitive behavioral therapy. So it's like going through that order, making sure it's released from your body first before going into therapy, and making sure that you have that working for you. And then that leads us to number 5, is really being mindful of the words we say to ourselves, because it really comes back to those stories that we keep telling ourselves, repeated over and over. So welcome back, Denise. What's your final takeaway for everyone?
Wow, that was pretty awesome. I don't have anything else to say. But look, here's the thing, ladies. You are strong. You are fabulous. But the most empowered thing that you can ever do is invest in your mental and physical health. Because without health, we don't have wealth.
I love that too. And let's redefine the word wealth to like being you enjoying your life. Wealth doesn't have to be money, but it's about, that's why this podcast is here, about living in your genius, what brings you purpose, what brings that to you. And we're here to help you uncover whatever that is for you, and for you to get into your own intuition and your own gut to see what's going to propel you forward. And thank you so much, Denise, and we'll see you all in the next episode.
Thank you for joining us in today's episode of the Mama Genius Hub podcast. If you found value in our conversation, please share this episode with another mama who might benefit. Sharing helps us build a supportive community and reach out to more mamas like you. After all, it's more fun when we do motherhood together. Until next time, stay motivated and continue to pursue your dreams